Speaker today, if you've been around football in South Carolina for the last 15, 20 years, you know who Levon Kirkland is. Levon was selected by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the second round of the 1992 NFL Draft. He went on to play 11 years in the NFL with Pittsburgh, Seattle, and Philadelphia. He was a two-time Pro Bowl selection, two-time Steelers team MVP, a member of the NFL's 1990s All-Decade team, and played in Super Bowl 30. In 1996, he was named to Clemson University's All-Centennial team, was inducted into the university's Hall of Fame in 2001. In 2008, he was inducted into the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. Somebody responded to one of my tweets yesterday that Levon was the best linebacker ever at Clemson. Somebody responded after that and said, Levon is probably the best player that's ever played at Clemson. So that's the kind of respect that he has. He is now the head coach at Shannon Forest, a new program that started football this year. As you see, he's sporting his Shannon Forest shirt. They played last night. So please give him a warm Lawrence County welcome to Levon Kirkland.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. It's a pleasure for me to be here today to speak to you about the game of football. The game of football that I truly love. I was very blessed and fortunate to play football from a young age, starting in the 9th grade. Now, funny story about me, and I teach a new program, guys who've never played football before. And a lot of times when you play a team, when you coach a team that's never played, or a guy who's played for the first time, there's a lot of funny anecdotes that happen a lot of times. My experience was when I first started playing football, I didn't know how to put on my pads. I really didn't. I mean, like the thigh bores and the knee pads and all that stuff, I didn't really know how to put those on. I had to look at somebody else put those on. And it was kind of funny because, everybody else knew how to put it on. Now, flashing forward, I am the head coach at Shannon Forest, man. And bless these guys' heart, man. They don't know much about football. They really don't. I've had guys who, it's defense, they're an offensive guy and they're going on the field. And we're like, no, you got to come back. So it's humorous. It's a lot of fun, especially for a guy who's been all the way to the NFL and been to the Super Bowl. Now to come back, and now you have to say, no, son. Your shoulder pads are on backwards. You have to put it on this way. The scraps go in front. Or, I had a kid the other day who was asking me, Coach Kirkland. And I'm looking back and like, what's wrong? What you need? Who do we play the next game? And I'm like, So at this age that I'm coaching, they ask a lot of questions. But we're trying to get better. Yesterday we at least scored 3 touchdowns, so we're getting a lot better. But unfortunately, the other team scored like 38 points. If you know your math, we were behind there. But we had a great experience. The program is going to get better as we go along. I'm having a great time because really I'm kind of dealing in my passion. And my passion is the game of football. And we've heard a whole lot about the game, especially of late. But this is what I think about football. And you young guys are so privileged to play the game. And I think anybody who's maybe been around football or played the game, football is one of those rite of passages that we really don't have in the United States anymore. We don't really have a rite of passage where young boys become men. I think football is one of those games that teaches young men, young boys, how to really approach life. It teaches us about playing together as a unit, no matter what the race, no matter what the creed, that you got to play together for a common goal. Football, unlike any other sport, you all have to work together, especially on defense. You have to really do your job so the whole team can accomplish the goal. I think it teaches you about not quitting, about determination, about goals. And a lot of times, after you play football, even if you don't play beyond high school, those lessons that you learn from a coach carries on and on throughout your life. I find that very true with myself. I've been fortunate enough to have some really good coaches, starting with my high school coach in Lamar, South Carolina, Terry Thyers, who really taught me about being committed to whatever you're going to be committed to or whatever you're in. I was the kind of kid that kind of came to practice every once in a while, man, and then I remember one day he sat me in his office and he told me about commitment, and it was my very first game. I was going to play that game. I was a starting guy, and he told me I couldn't play. I couldn't play because I wasn't committed enough to be there at every practice. So therefore, nevertheless, I was really upset about that, but kind of taught me that, if I'm going to be into something, then I got to be committed. And that's what football teaches you. You can't miss practice, in life, you can't miss work because you want to miss work. You have to be committed. And I think we all kind of understand that commitment, going the days you don't want to go. I know you guys who play right now in high school, and trust me, this is a glorious time for you guys. You understand that sometimes you're going to hurt a little bit. You're going to have aches and pains, but you got to be committed. In order to win games, you have to be committed to winning games. All starts in practice. It's doing the little things. Football is such a great teacher of young men, and I really try to promote it as much as I possibly can. Like I said before, I was very fortunate, very blessed. Did get recruited high, went to Clemson University, and actually played pretty well. Did a good job, but we had tremendous players there at Clemson. I was part of the team. Individually, I did well, but it was always about the team success. I was fortunate enough to have a guy named Danny Ford that was my coach at the time. If anybody knows anything about Danny Ford was no joke. I'm telling you right now. It was old school all the way. I mean, he had you hit all the time. We were one of those teams that we hit so much in practice that in the game, it was fun. Because we hit each other all the time. I mean, we beat each other up all the time. Hit. He was relentless, man. He was on us 24/7. But you know what? That made us game ready. And I know a lot of times, as parents, we're cautious with our kids. We don't want them to get hurt, and we want to protect them over every little thing. But sometimes we got to let them get a little dirty. Got to let them experience life a little bit. It's amazing to me. The harder I am on my players, the more they like it. I mean, I could run them till their tongues hang out. And I'm pretty tough as far as the coach is concerned. The next morning they'll come in, "Hey, Coach Kirkland. How you doing, Coach Kirkland? What's going on, Coach Kirkland?" They gather in my office. I'm just like, "Man, I just ran your tongue out the other day." But I think young men, they like that structure. They like that movement from mommyhood until manhood. They do. And there's not any, I think really honestly, there's not any other sport that does that. That takes guys that have maybe been on their mom's thumb to dealing with men. Telling them what to do, pushing them beyond their limits. And that's another great thing about football. It pushes you beyond your limits. I have a story that when I started off at Clemson, I was kind of on the bubble. They didn't really know, if I was ready to play or not ready to play. So they played this kind of a crude trick, I call it. Back then, we had so many guys on our team at Clemson. We might have had like 100 guys at Clemson. I'm telling you, we just had a bunch of dudes at Clemson. I mean, you barely knew half of the guys you had at Clemson. But anyway, we had a scrimmage that day. We had the third and the fourth string guys. They scrimmaged, and then after a couple of hours, the first and the second string guys would come out, and then those guys would scrimmage. I happened to scrimmage with the third and fourth string guys. So I did all that with those guys. And then when the first and second team came out, I scrimmaged with all those guys. I did not miss one play. I played the whole time. I scrimmaged that time and then when the first and second guys came out. I was so tired that I was what we call delirious. And if you guys ever get to the point where you're delirious, you're not even tired anymore. I mean, you're so beat that you can't get any more tired than you are. So I was out there, man, kind of wobbling around in a huddle, but still going, you know. Finally, one of the referees told my coaches that, hey, number 44, he's out on his feet out there. After I got off the field, I was sitting by the wall, man. They were just spraying water on me. Spraying water on me. But what I understood and what the coaches got, that I was a player that was willing to go that extra mile. And I showed myself that, you know, the limits that I thought I had, that I can push beyond those limits. I can push beyond those limits. And that's what the game teaches you. It teaches you about pushing beyond your limits. And that's a life lesson. Not just a football lesson, but a life lesson. And I'm really appealing to the young men that are playing football. There's going to be some times where you think that you reach your limit. You think you reach your limit. But you know and understand that you have a whole lot more. We all do. We all in here have tremendous gifts that we can always give. I feel that my gift is giving back the game of football. Whatever knowledge I have, whatever experience I have, to give that knowledge back to whoever wants to hear it. And to try to show you that, you know, like football, man, life is the same way, man. There's battles, there's struggles. But we can always overcome those things. We lose games. You know how it feels after you lose. Trust me. I was like that yesterday, man. I was just like, man. But you know what? The next day, it's better. You see the positives. Even in a loss. Sometimes you can gather more from a loss. Even though I don't recommend it, as you lose. It does suck, trust me. But you can learn a lot from losing, you know. And you can learn a lot from winning, you know. And a lot of times, you know, the more you do it, the more you guys play, the better you will get. I'm also excited to know that you guys will be playing against each other. I'm just wondering how you guys are so composed at this point in time. Because I remember my crosstown rivals, the Timminsville Whirlwinds, and boy, it was always a battle. So, you know, I'm looking forward to hearing how you guys do tonight, man. I'm wishing both teams luck. Get after them, have some fun. Enjoy this time. Enjoy this time because, you know, honestly, when it comes to football, you won't be playing forever. You won't. I played 11 years of football. In the NFL, played over 20 years from high school through college, and I still miss it. But the most fun I probably had was during the high school football years because you're playing with your friends. You're playing with guys you grew up with. You're playing with your cousins. I mean, you're playing in front of your family all the time. And there's nothing like the smell of grass on a Friday night. The hot dogs in the air. You know the smell that I'm talking about. The shoulder pads, the anticipation, you know, playing in front of your girlfriend. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. You guys should have a lot of fun. You should enjoy this moment because when it's over with, it's over with. But I guarantee you, you'll be talking about this game for the rest of your life because you know what? It will change you. It will make you a better person. So I will always promote the game of football. You know, I always share my knowledge to you guys. I really hope that you guys have a wonderful time. I want to thank you all for having me. I see some of my Clemson people here today. We won a big one against Auburn. That was really good. Hopefully we continue that throughout the season. Thank you again so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And if you guys ever want to check out my little middle school team, the Shan Forest Crusaders, we're going to be better in a few years. Right now, not so good. We got to teach them how to tackle. And as a coach, and just one little note before I go, as a head coach, man, you really get a better perspective of football. Because as a player, you kind of, you know, you can depend on yourself. But boy, when you're a coach, and now you sit them out there, you're like, boy, what did I forget? And I'm like, oh yeah, tackling. So that's what happened to me last night. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.